You could spend 3 months building a faceless YouTube channel, upload 20 videos, hit the monetization threshold, and then watch YouTube slap a limited ads label on your entire catalog before you ever see a single payout. That's not a rare horror story. It happens constantly to beginners who picked a niche without running it through a demonetization safety filter first. If you're researching Faceless YouTube channel niches 2026, this video is the one you need to watch before you record a single frame. Here's what we're covering. 5 niches that are both advertiser-friendly and genuinely high CPM right now. Real RPM ranges on every single one. An opportunity score out of 10 on each item. And at the end, a ranking, a surprise winner, and the single niche I'd tell a complete beginner to start with today if they only pick one. Stick around for the full ranking because the niche that scores highest is not the one most people expect, and the one most beginners instinctively reach for is actually the weakest performer of the 5. But before we get to the 5 safe niches, I need to show you the 3 niche categories that look totally fine on the surface, but quietly trigger limited ads or full demonetization, often weeks after you have already put in hours of work. Knowing what to avoid is the filter that separates the channels that actually get paid from the ones that never do. First trap: true crime and crime commentary. It feels like a safe pick because there are massive channels in this space. The problem is, YouTube's advertiser guidelines flag content that features or glorifies real violence or criminal acts, and faceless channels in this niche almost always get caught in that net eventually. You'll often pass the initial monetization review, then get hit with a blanket limited ads flag 2 or 3 months in when the algorithm has seen enough of your catalog. By then, you've got 40 videos sitting there earning almost nothing. Second trap: political commentary and current events opinion. Again, there are huge channels here. But advertisers actively avoid political content because they don't want their brand next to anything that could alienate half their customer base. YouTube reflects that by serving fewer ads or lower value ads on politically adjacent content. Your RPM on a political commentary channel can be a third of what the same channel would earn in a neutral niche. And if your commentary edges anywhere near conspiracy territory, you're looking at full demonetization. Third trap: mental health and personal trauma content. This one surprises people the most. Talking about depression, anxiety, trauma stories, or suicide-adjacent topics triggers YouTube's sensitive topics policy, even when the intent is helpful and supportive. Advertisers won't run luxury product ads or financial service ads next to that content. The RPM tanks. Channels built entirely in this space often see RPMs under $2, even when they're fully monetized, which means hundreds of thousands of views translating into almost nothing in revenue. Now you've got the filter. Those 3 categories are where a huge percentage of beginner faceless channels quietly die. So here are the 5 niches that clear that filter completely and actually pay. Number 1, finance explainers. This is not a boring pick. It's the highest paying category on this list, and it isn't close. Finance explainer channels cover things like how compound interest actually works, what an index fund is, how to read a pay stub, how to build a budget, what a Roth IRA does. These are evergreen questions that millions of people search every single month, and the people searching them are exactly the audience financial service advertisers are willing to pay a premium to reach. The RPM range on finance explainer content in 2026 sits between $10 and $25. Let that land for a second. At the high end of that range, a video that pulls 100,000 views in a month is generating roughly $2,500 from ad revenue alone, on a single video, from a faceless channel where you never appeared on camera once. The honest catch here is that finance content has a higher quality bar than most niches. YouTube and its advertisers are sensitive about financial misinformation, so you can't just string together vague money advice. Your scripts need to be accurate, clearly framed as educational rather than personal financial advice, and consistently well-sourced. The barrier to entry is real. You'll need solid research habits and scripts that are genuinely useful, not just surface level. But that higher bar is also what keeps the competition lower than you'd expect for a niche this lucrative. How to start a faceless YouTube channel with AI is a workflow question we'll touch on later. But finance is the niche where that workflow pays off most dramatically because the production gap between a mediocre finance video and a strong one is mostly about the script, not the visuals. Good research plus a well-structured script plus basic stock footage or simple animation gets you most of the way there. Opportunity score, 9 out of 10. There's an open loop worth keeping in mind here. I'll get to the ranking at the end, but there's one niche further down this list that has a catch so counterintuitive, most people completely miss it when they're sizing up the opportunity. We'll get there. Number 2, AI and tech tutorials. This one earns its place on this list for a different reason than finance. The RPM range is lower, sitting between $4.50 and $11, but the demand side of the equation is extraordinary right now. Every week in 2026, there are new tools, new AI releases, new software updates, and new workflows that millions of people are searching how to use. The search volume is fresh and consistent in a way that most evergreen niches can't match. The format here is almost tailor-made for a Faceless YouTube channel 2026 creator, because the core of a tech tutorial is a screen recording. You're walking someone through how to use a piece of software. You don't need a face. You need a decent microphone, a screen recorder, and genuine familiarity with the tool you're covering. The AI side of the niche is especially strong right now because search volume on AI tool tutorials is genuinely massive, and most of the content that exists is either shallow or already outdated by the time someone finds it. The honest catch? This niche moves fast. A tutorial you made about a specific tool 6 months ago might be partially obsolete if the tool updated its interface or added new features. That means your content has a shorter shelf life than finance explainers, which can sit and earn for years. You'll need to publish more consistently to keep up with the demand cycle. If you're not genuinely interested in tech and willing to stay current, this one grinds you down quickly. But if you're already the kind of person who reads about new AI tools for fun, this niche fits naturally, and the content almost writes itself. This is also one of the most advertiser-friendly YouTube niches in existence, because every major software company, cloud service, and tech brand wants to be in front of an audience that's actively learning how to use technology. The advertiser pool is deep. Opportunity score, 7 out of 10. Number 3, history documentaries. Here's where things get interesting. History documentary channels have been a quiet, steady earner in the Faceless YouTube space for years, and they're still underrated in 2026 because most beginners see the production quality of major history channels and assume they can't compete. That assumption is wrong, and it's costing people a real opportunity. The RPM range here is $270 to $660. Lower than finance, yes. But here's what makes history documentaries a sleeper pick. The content is evergreen in the most literal sense possible. A well-made video about the fall of Rome or the economics of the gold rush doesn't go stale. It earns quietly for years. Channels in this space often have older back catalogs that keep generating consistent ad revenue without any new uploads. That's a compounding asset, not just a content treadmill. This next part is the one most people tune out because it sounds like homework, but it's the part that actually decides whether a history channel earns real money or not. Your choice of subject matters enormously. Content about relatively obscure but genuinely fascinating historical events with decent search volume and low existing competition is the exact formula. Not the French Revolution. Not World War II. There are already thousands of videos on those. You want the stories that people don't know exist yet, but immediately want to know everything about once they encounter the title. That research phase, finding the right topics before you ever write a script, is boring, methodical, and entirely responsible for the revenue difference between a history channel that earns and one that doesn't. The advertiser friendliness here is excellent because history content is almost entirely neutral territory. Advertisers are comfortable running broad categories of ads, insurance, financial services, consumer goods, against history content because the audience skews curious, educated, and adult. That's a valuable demographic. The honest catch is production time. A genuinely good history documentary script takes real research. You can use AI to assist with drafting and structuring, but the factual accuracy matters, and errors in a history video are visible and get called out in comments fast. Give yourself time to get the research right. Opportunity score, 7 out of 10. Number 4, motivation and self-improvement. This one needs a straight, honest read because it's probably the most crowded niche on this list. And crowding affects your ability to grow more than most beginners realize. The RPM range is $3.30 to $8. That's a reasonable range, and it's genuinely advertiser-friendly because the self-improvement audience is exactly the demographic that productivity apps, online courses, and consumer brands want to reach. There's real money in the ad pool for this niche. The problem is the volume of content already out there. Motivation and self-improvement is one of the most saturated categories on YouTube. There are channels with millions of subscribers producing daily uploads. Breaking through that requires either a genuinely distinctive angle or a level of consistency and quality that takes time to build. If you're going to succeed here, you can't just repackage generic wake up early and read books content. You need a clear point of view, a specific sub-niche within self-improvement, or a production style that stands out. The sub-niche angle is your best entry point. Instead of motivation, you build something like evidence-based habit formation, or financial mindset specifically for people in their 20s, or stoic philosophy applied to modern work. A specific lane with real depth beats a generic motivation channel every time. And it also protects you from the demonetization risks that hit channels that drift into mental health trauma territory, which is the neighboring category I flagged earlier. Keep it forward-facing, practical, and grounded, and you stay safely in advertiser-friendly territory. This is also one of the best niches for learning how to start a faceless YouTube channel with AI, because the core deliverable is a voiceover script plus stock footage, and AI tools are extremely capable of helping you draft and structure that kind of content efficiently. The production workflow is simpler than finance or history. Opportunity score, 6 out of 10. Strong RPM floor, real advertiser demand, but the saturation makes it harder to grow than the other niches on this list. It's not a bad pick, it just requires more patience and a sharper angle than beginners usually plan for. Number 5, relaxation and sleep music. Okay, here's the counterintuitive one I teased at the top. And this is the part most people get completely wrong when they're sizing up the best niches for faceless YouTube channel opportunities. On the surface, relaxation and sleep music looks like the safest, easiest entry point. It's totally advertiser-friendly, there's no script to write, no research to do, and you can technically generate the audio with AI tools and upload it with a static or looping visual. The RPM range is 220 to 550. Those are real numbers. Here's the catch nobody explains clearly enough. Relaxation and sleep music is a trap for beginners disguised as an easy win. The RPM is the lowest on this list by a significant margin. The niche is incredibly saturated with exactly the channels you'd expect, because every beginner who wants the easiest faceless YouTube option piles in here first. And the watch time pattern works against you in a specific, painful way. People who put on sleep music fall asleep. They don't engage, they don't click, they don't subscribe. The algorithm reads that passive watch behavior and promotes your content less aggressively than it would a channel with higher engagement signals. You can absolutely build a revenue-generating channel in this niche. Some creators do pull consistent passive income here, but it takes much longer to reach meaningful revenue, requires much more volume, and the ceiling is lower than almost every other option on this list. This is not the easy shortcut it looks like from the outside. If you're genuinely passionate about ambient music or sound design, build here because the passion will sustain the volume of output required. If you're just here because it seems easy, you'll burn out before you see a meaningful dollar. This is still on the list because it's genuinely advertiser-friendly. It's a real, faceless YouTube channel idea, and it does pay. It just pays the least of the 5, and it's also the one where the gap between expectation and reality is biggest. Opportunity score, 5 out of 10. Now here's the ranking, the honest verdict, and where to start. Starting from the bottom, relaxation and sleep music earns a 5. It's safe, it's low barrier, but the numbers and the growth dynamics make it the weakest pick of the 5. Motivation and self-improvement earns a 6. Legitimate RPM, genuinely advertiser-friendly YouTube niche, but the saturation wall is real and you need a sharper angle than most beginners bring to it. Both history documentaries and AI and tech tutorials land at 7. History wins on longevity and evergreen earning power. Tech wins on current demand volume and publishing velocity. If you're a researcher by nature, history is your lane. If you're a tech enthusiast who wants to stay current, tech tutorials fits you better. Either one is a solid foundation. The surprise winner, and the one that earns a 9 out of 10, is finance explainers. It's not glamorous, it doesn't feel exciting the way tech or history can feel exciting, but the RPM gap between finance and everything else on this list is not incremental. $10 to $25 per thousand views versus $3 to $8 per thousand views is a multiplier that compounds over the life of a channel in a way that beginners consistently underestimate. A finance channel that pulls modest view numbers can out-earn a motivation or history channel with 2 or 3 times the views. That math matters enormously when you're building something from scratch and every view is hard-won. The one thing the numbers don't show you, and I want to be straight about this, RPM ranges tell you what the ceiling looks like, not what you'll earn on day 1. Every channel on this list has a ramp period. Your first 3 months will be low view counts regardless of niche. Taxes come out of ad revenue, typically around a quarter of it depending on your situation. Views are not consistent month to month, especially early on. And AI-assisted production, while genuinely useful for Faceless YouTube Channel 2026 creators, doesn't eliminate the time investment in scripting, editing, and publishing. The channels that actually reach meaningful passive income in this space are the ones that stayed consistent through the first 6 months when the numbers were still small. So where do you start? If you've got the next 30 days and you're picking one niche from this list, start with finance explainers. Not because it's easy, it's not. The research bar is real. But because the RPM floor is the highest, the search demand is permanent, and every hour you put into a quality finance video has the longest earning tail of anything on this list. Find 3 to 5 evergreen financial questions that millions of people search every year. Write scripts that genuinely explain the answer without giving personal financial advice. Use AI tools to help you structure and draft. Pair it with simple, clean visuals, and you have the foundation of a faceless YouTube channel that earns at the highest rate available to a beginner in 2026. The channels that win in the faceless YouTube channel ideas space in 2026 aren't the ones that found the cleverest shortcut. They're the ones that picked a high RPM advertiser-friendly niche, avoided the 3 demonetization traps, and showed up consistently enough to let the algorithm find them. That's the whole formula. If this helped you figure out your niche direction, a like genuinely helps YouTube show this to other people who are stuck on the same question. And if you want to go deeper on the actual setup and production workflow for any of these, there are a couple more videos on the channel that walk through exactly how to build the thing once you've picked your lane.